lured my girlfriend back to your apartment to add to your collection.
I mean, is he all right? I'm being cooped up with all those...
Yeah, people her age are used to being mistreated.
Have you ever wondered how one of TV's most memorable series became a sitcom about three mismatched roommates? Not only did Three's Company make people laugh, but it also redefined comedy, caused controversy, and evolved into a cultural movement. This is the tale of a program that captivated viewers and the drama that took place behind the scenes. Come along as we examine the infamous scene that took Three's Company off the air and the current locations of the show's legendary cast members. On screen, Three's Company was pure comedy gold, but behind the laughter, things weren't quite so happy. The set was a pressure cooker of conflicting personalities, creative disputes, and growing annoyances in addition to being a place of employment. Long before anyone became aware of the show's chemistry flaws, tension was building. The producers of Three's Company were notoriously strict about creative control. They made the decisions, frequently disregarding the cast's suggestions. Although everyone put a lot of effort into making the show successful, Joyce DeWitt, who played the sane Janet, later revealed that being excluded from creative choices caused a rift. Though their voices were rarely heard, actors aimed to give their characters a genuine feel. The show had to change quickly after Suzanne Summers left. Slapstick humor was used to introduce Cindy Snow, her replacement, but the atmosphere was different. Later, Terry Alden brought her charm and joined as a no-nonsense nurse. Audiences missed the organic spark of the original trio, even though each replacement had their devoted followers.
Okay, you do your part, I'll do mine.
Some devoted viewers never completely embraced the new lineup, and many felt that the dynamic had changed. Observing a puzzle with nearly, but not quite, fitting pieces was like that. The show's main character, Jack Tripper, John Ritter, ended up being the unifying factor. Ritter was a professional who infused every scene with boundless energy, but he was not exempt from the demands of a high-stakes workplace. He struggled to maintain the humor while juggling the changing dynamics on and off set, which only made his burden heavier. The chaos was exacerbated by the media's constant scrutiny. Every backstage rumor was eagerly examined by tabloids, who used small arguments to create big headlines. The cast was unable to avoid the public eye, and tensions were only heightened by the ongoing rumors. Fans found it difficult to distinguish between the tense relationships developing behind the cameras and the endearing trio they saw on screen. The friction became apparent as the seasons changed. The humor occasionally felt forced, and storylines lost coherence.
No jam, not on the table.
On the floor's better.
The chemistry that used to make the show so easy began to falter. It became evident that the cracks were growing, even though Three's Company was still a ratings powerhouse. The cast persevered in spite of these obstacles, providing laughs and sustaining the program for 8 prosperous seasons. But beneath the laughter was a reminder that, even in comedy, harmony is important. Backstage, Three's Company was a masterclass in navigating the demands of personal ambition, creativity, and fame, even though it made America laugh. Three's Company was no exception to the rule that even the brightest stars eventually fade. This is how the last chapters of this comedy powerhouse were handled. The concept of Three's Company was not originally American. Man About the House, a British sitcom, was the starting point. The show, which ran from 1973 to 1976, featured the audacious idea of a man living in a London apartment with 2 women.
Cheese? Nice cheese.
Look at the cheese. Doesn't it look good? Yum, yum, yum.
It provoked debate and laughter because it was daring for its time. American producers recognized the idea's potential to become something unique when it crossed the Atlantic. It wasn't easy to make it a reality. Networks were concerned about how viewers would respond to the idea of co-ed roommates, particularly ABC. Before ABC gave the show a chance in January 1977, 2 pilot episodes failed. Don Nickel, Michael Ross, and Bernard West put in a lot of effort to adapt the characters and humor for American audiences. The first season was a cautious trial run, consisting of just 6 episodes. John Ritter's character Jack Tripper was the focal point of the program. He moved in with Chrissy Snow and Janet Wood. Jack pretended to be gay in order to maintain harmony with their landlord, Mr. Roper, who disapproved of the arrangement. Misunderstandings and humorous moments that became the show's hallmark were made possible by this deft twist.
Going to San Francisco.
I usually go along to take notes, but this time he's got a temporary.
A temporary what?
When Three's Company debuted on March 15, 1977, it was an immediate hit. Its outrageous situations and slapstick humor drew viewers in. The characters were dynamic and relatable because of the chemistry between Ritter, Suzanne Summers, and Joyce DeWitt. Every week, audiences laughed out loud at Jack's antics and the ridiculousness of keeping up his charade. The show soared in the ratings despite early skepticism. Its combination of heartfelt sincerity and hilarious chaos was what made it so appealing. Viewers were moved by the trio's friendship and hardships and felt a sense of connection to their journey. One of ABC's biggest hits was born out of what began as a risky mid-season experiment. What began as a perilous adaptation of a British television show turned into a phenomenon. Through perseverance, incisive writing, and standout performances, Three's Company solidified its place in television history. Now that we are aware of the origins of Three's Company, let's examine what captivated viewers. Three's Company was a roller coaster for Suzanne Summers. Her story is still one of the most talked about in TV history, from her ascent to fame as Chrissy Snow to her contentious departure. With her vivacious personality, innocent innocence, and flawless comedic timing, Chrissy was a huge hit with audiences.
Have you seen my brown belt? Wait, how come you're making such a big deal over a blind date anyway?
Summers rose to fame almost immediately, but her increased fame came with greater aspirations and a more serious consequence. The cracks behind the scenes became apparent by the time Three's Company reached its 5th season. John Ritter's $150,000 salary dwarfed Summers' $30,000 per episode, which was a huge amount at the time. Summers, fed up with the disparity in pay, asked for a raise to match Ritter's pay. In addition, she requested a cut of the show's earnings, which was unprecedented for an actress at the time. Summers felt that her contributions to the show should be fairly acknowledged, but her demands caused a stir in the industry. The producers of the show disagreed with ABC. Summers and the network were at odds as the negotiations swiftly descended into hostility. Her once vibrant role was reduced to short, isolated scenes on the set as tensions overflowed. Summers filmed distinct phone call segments that hardly related to the main plot, rather than laughing with her co-stars. The decision to phase her out was clumsy and blatant, and Summers was fired by the end of the season. The media flurry was unrelenting, and fans were in disbelief.
Perfect.
Janet!
So, how about your bedroom?
My bedroom? My.
This marked a sea change for the program. The program struggled to make up for her absence. Jenna Lee Harrison played Cindy Snow, Chrissy's cousin, who was introduced first. Terry Alden, a nurse with a more grounded demeanor, was later added by Priscilla Barnes. Fans agreed that it was impossible to recreate the magic of the original trio. Despite the fact that both characters had their moments, it was harder to find the easy chemistry that used to characterize Three's Company. However, this was just the beginning. The drama caused enduring divisions off-set. Summers' career was hampered for years by the media's portrayal of her as cruel and avaricious. It completely shattered her already tense relationship with Joyce DeWitt. It's been more than 30 years since the two last spoke, which is a long time, dude. On Summers' talk show, they finally talked about their fallout. As they reflected on their priorities and experiences during the show, it was a rare and poignant reunion. But that's not all. Summers' story is about more than just earnings. It's a tale of bravery, ambition, and the price you pay for standing up for what you think is right.
Before. Maybe there was something wrong with the gin, or the tequila, or the whiskey, or the rum, or the vodka, or the...
Her departure brought attention to the difficulties faced by women in Hollywood, even though it was a watershed moment for Three's Company. The laughter continued unabated as the drama developed, keeping viewers captivated for what would happen next. The sitcom that had once dominated television screens started to lose its appeal as Three's Company approached its last season. There weren't many new ideas left after 7 hilarious seasons. A man living in a platonic relationship with 2 women was the show's original premise, but it had been stretched in all directions. Even the most devoted fans could feel the beginnings of creative fatigue by the early 1980s. One of the biggest setbacks was Suzanne Summers' departure in 1981. The pressure was increased by fierce competition from more recent, ostentatious shows. When the A-Team first appeared on the scene in 1983, it quickly rose to prominence in the ratings and stole some viewers from Three's Company. The action-packed thrills of a show about guys with vans and explosions were too much for the sitcom's light-hearted adventures to match.
I call it the rocket.
The rocket?
Yeah, one sip of this and you blast off.
I don't think I should.
Oh, come on, you want to win.
Three's Company was on borrowed time by the 8th season. Many of the producers' attempts to breathe new life into the series came across as rushed and uninspired. Those who used to watch for heart-pounding moments now questioned whether the magic had faded. It was a bittersweet farewell when the series finale aired on September 18, 1984. It felt like a month's worth of events were crammed into a half-hour episode for the finale, which attempted to wrap up Jack Tripper's story. In record time, Janet married Philip Dawson, and Jack proposed to his new love interest. This hurried ending left many fans disappointed for a show that had spent years making small moments funny. With the Three's a Crowd spin-off, the producers aimed to preserve the Jack Tripper enchantment. Though it lacked the ensemble charm of its predecessor, the new show continued Jack and Vicky's relationship. Without Chrissy's vivacious antics or Janet's sensible presence, the spark wouldn't have existed. Audiences concurred with critics that John Ritter and Mary Carteret's chemistry was lacking. Lightning doesn't strike twice, as demonstrated by Three's a Crowd's demise after just 1 season. Despite Three's Company's demise, its legacy persisted. By reminding viewers of the times when Jack, Janet, and Chrissy's antics brightened their living rooms, reruns preserved the humor. The culture and developments of its era were reflected in Three's Company, which was more than just a sitcom. The show's humor and themes pushed boundaries when it debuted, coinciding with a time of audacious ideas. Its straightforward tale of 3 roommates sharing a home served as a vehicle for witty humor while tackling changing social mores. The program altered the process of creating sitcoms. It distinguished itself from other TV series of the era with its blend of scathing dialogue, physical humor, and bold scenarios. Misunderstandings examined changes in relationships, cohabitation, and gender roles, and went beyond simple humor. Three's Company was able to bridge the gap between traditional and progressive humor by fusing classic slapstick with contemporary themes. It brought a humorous style that wasn't typically seen on American television. Shows like Will and Grace and Modern Family were influenced by the exaggerated chaos and miscommunications, which turned into a formula for success. It addressed delicate subjects with inclusive humor.
Or dangerous. Or criminally insane.
Come on.
Demonstrating how comedy could amuse while addressing more profound problems. Three's Company is still a favorite today. While older fans relish the nostalgia of rewatching their favorite episodes, younger audiences have been exposed to it through streaming platforms. Great comedy endures because of its timeless humor and likable characters. Why was Three's Company so alluring? It was a combination of relatable chaos, clever humor, and a cast that enchanted the audience. The program dominated television from 1977 to 1984 and became a mainstay for families looking to relax and laugh. The show's secret weapon was John Ritter's portrayal of Jack Tripper. Ritter threw himself into every misunderstanding, awkward situation, and pratfall rather than just acting. There was nothing like his physical humor. Ritter's enthusiasm kept audiences riveted to their screens, whether they were tripping over furniture or frantically hiding a lie. However, Three's Company had a great ensemble, which is essential for a good comedy. Chrissy Snow, played by Suzanne Summers, was a charming and vivacious roommate who made everyone laugh, non-stop. Even though Chrissy had her ditzy moments, Summers made the character endearing to viewers. The group's level-headed realist, Janet Wood, played by Joyce DeWitt, came next.
I am going out with Brett Wade.
You are not going out with Brett Wade.
Why not?
Didn't you?
Jack and Chrissy's antics were perfectly counterbalanced by Janet's witty repartee and realistic perspective. They formed an unquestionably chemistry-filled trio. The witty and cheeky humor suited the shifting social mores of the 1970s. The comedy was enhanced by Jack's attempt to mock social conventions by posing as gay. Every week, the miscommunications, witty banter, and outrageous situations generated new laughter. But not everyone found the humor in the show funny. Feminists of the era objected to the way women were portrayed, and critics claimed that Chrissy's ditzy blonde persona leaned into antiquated stereotypes. Despite the criticism, many fans found Chrissy to be much more than a cliché because of her charm and innocence. Despite her imperfections, she was a person that people liked. Jason Ritter's impression of his father, John Ritter, on Three's Company, 87-21596. Another important component of the show's success was its absurd tone. Consider timeless shows like I Love Lucy. Three's Company continued this tradition by introducing recurring jokes that won over viewers. Comedy gold came from Mr. Roper's naive comments.
Explain what? How you lured my girlfriend back to your apartment to add to your collection of cupcakes?
Regarding Jack's sexual orientation and his hilariously tense marriage. Every episode had just the right amount of ridiculousness to keep viewers interested, making them feel like little adventures. But the success of the show was due to more than just its humor. Its timing was another important consideration. Three's Company encapsulated the changing values of the 1970s. Making people laugh by displaying an unusual living arrangement was a reflection of a changing society. Society while generating amusement. There was more to Three's Company than just a sitcom. It was a phenomenon that struck a balance between humor and nuanced social criticism. There was drama simmering behind the scenes, so the show wasn't just about laughing. Let's explore the remarkable tale of Suzanne Summers. The tension persisted after Summers left the stage. Behind the camera, the drama was just getting started. Even after the cameras stopped recording, Three's Company continued to make people laugh. While clinging to the memories of their iconic roles, the cast continued to carry the show's legacy into their careers and personal lives, discovering new challenges and triumphs. In the comedy industry, John Ritter, who was adored as Jack Tripper, continued to shine. Ritter's comedic genius was further demonstrated
as the show grew popular and the stars started experiencing unprecedented
after Three's Company, especially in 8 Simple Rules, in which he portrayed a father who had to strike a balance between humor and the chaos of parenting teenagers. He continued to have an unrivaled ability to engage audiences. Ritter tragically died of an aortic dissection in 2003 at the age of 54. Both the entertainment industry and fans were taken aback by the news. However, both Jason Ritter and his legacy live on thanks to their iconic roles. Following in his father's footsteps, Jason frequently exhibits the same humor and warmth that made John famous. Ritter's journey came to an untimely end, but Suzanne Summers chose a different route and turned her notoriety into a lasting legacy. Suzanne Summers built an empire out of her fame from Three's Company. Following her departure, her character as Chrissy Snow and her spirit of entrepreneurship made her a cultural icon. She became a dominant force in the industry thanks to her success with The Thigh Master and her wellness and health books. Using her position to promote wellness and self-care, Summers was an advocate for women's health.
How can you be so insensitive? Don't you know this could spread? I could get them all over my body.
She continued to be well known decades after her time on the show, giving talks and sharing her opinions. One day before her 77th birthday in October 2023, Summers died. Her legacy exemplifies how stars can transcend their origins through reinvention. Joyce DeWitt took a more subdued path, concentrating on a passion that led her outside of the screen, while Summers established her empire. Joyce DeWitt, who portrayed the sane Janet Wood, decided to live a more sedate life after the performance. She made fewer TV and movie appearances, but she flourished in theater, embracing the stage and her love of performing. Her path wasn't without difficulties. She had personal challenges in 2009, including being arrested for DUI, but she persevered through them. After many years apart, DeWitt and Suzanne Summers got back together in 2012. Despite the tensions that followed Summers' departure, their sincere conversation demonstrated the bond they had developed at Three's Company. Similarly, Priscilla also found her footing in movies and television. She brought a fresh energy to the show when she joined the cast as Terry Alden in later seasons. She landed roles in television and movies after Three's Company, including notable parts in Jane the Virgin and The Devil's Rejects. Citing frustrations with creative control,
What tattoo? The one his Navy buddies gave him when he wasn't looking. Well, why didn't he say...
Barnes has been open about her conflicted feelings about her time on the show. She does, however, treasure the relationships she formed with her co-stars and the ongoing encouragement from her fans. Richard Klein follows. The endearing Larry Dallas continued to be involved in the entertainment business, specifically in theater. One of the highlights of his post-Three's Company career was his performance on Broadway in Waitress. Larry's legacy has been upheld by Klein, who regularly interacts with fans at conventions and in interviews. Three's Company is still a cultural icon decades later. It made a lasting impression on television with its humor, likable characters, and innovative idea. Even though the cast members went on to pursue other endeavors, their legacy from the show endures today. Their laughter is timeless, even though their lives have changed. Their tales demonstrate how a show's influence endures even after it ends. Three's Company's charm is found in how well it made audiences laugh while capturing the peculiarities of daily life. Its humor was both ahead of its time and a product of its era, making a lasting impression on television. The show stood out for its daring treatment of friendship, relationships, and miscommunications, forging a connection with viewers that endures to this day. It transcended its status as a sitcom and became a shared memory for generations, serving as a reminder that despite difficulties, laughter can unite people. The cast's chemistry, the writing's wit, and its readiness to accept both the ridiculous and the significant were the foundations of its success. Three's Company was about the chaos of life and the delight of connecting through it, not about perfection. Its timeless appeal demonstrates that great comedy never goes out of style. It adapts, attracts new audiences, and spreads joy. Even though the story ended years ago, its influence endures because it serves as a constant reminder of the value of humor and the timeless solace of sharing a good laugh with friends. How do you feel about this masterwork? Tell us in the comments section.